like, what was that? Like my alarm just
What was that? Your alarm?
Yeah, I think it like I hid it in my pocket and it was just like, oh, she's leaving the building.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I was like, it's like, wait a minute, am I being attacked or did my alarm just start? It's like, okay, we're good.
Okay.
Like people are like so confused about what it is, how old it is, like why would I do it? Like there seems to be all this confusion about Reiki, but it's really funny. Someone shared an interview with me, one of my Reiki classmates, and someone was talking about Reiki in America in the 80s. Like there was an interview about a Reiki master just chatting about Reiki. So I'm like, it's not as like people think, it's not as old as people think, but it's been around.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm very intrigued by that. I'm like, what's going on?
Yes. So for me, I often share with people that I think a lot of Reiki practitioners will say this: Reiki found them.
Yes.
Reiki found me, and that if I look back historically at sort of my meditation practice, my meditation practice sort of guided me in to that place. And I would often sit and say, this is really interesting. It could be very hard to explain to someone that doesn't experience it, right? It could be a visualization that I had. It could be, but I do remember very clearly my first response was in my hands. My first response was in my hands, and I would sort of sit in meditation and go, whoa, what was that? My hands are on fire.
Yes.
And I didn't know what it was. I was just like, you're sort of like disconcerted. It's like, wow, where did I go? What happened? You know, and you're trying to find out, at least for me, I'm trying to figure out what was that? That was a whoa. That was like a whoa.
That's a whoa.
That's a whoa. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like a whoa.
It's very interesting, right? Because people understand laying on hands, right? At least in the Black community. Right? They understand laying on hands. They understand in Latinx communities, limpia.
See?
They understand all of those things. And then when it comes to Reiki, they're like, what are you talking about? So it's the same. It really is. It's the same concept, right? It's that healing through the hands at a distance. And it's just a Japanese form of it. That's really what it is. Like you know it because you do it to yourself, right? How many times have parents or guardians with their kids, when their kids are crying and they just go to hold their kids? That is energy healing.
Exactly. The comfort that is felt in just that grasp.
Yes.
It's a great way to explain it. And when you experience it as a person that sort of eventually gets into the practice, you're like, there's a combination of things that tend to happen, for lack of a better way of putting it. But it's a combination of things, and you're like, wow, this is something else. Let me test it. For me, I went, let me test this out on myself.
Yes. So that, that's that first. So after you do Reiki 1, right? You do that 21-day detox and you're just doing it on yourself. You're like, oh, every day I feel really good. You're just like going through the motions, right? And then like once you start to feel a little bit better, you feel different, right? You feel there's something different going on. You can't quite put your finger on it. And you're like, Reiki 2 is coming around. Let me see what's Reiki 2 is about. Then you get the symbols and you're like, ooh, okay, I'm feeling even better. Now I'm really feeling it. And then, for the rest of us, it gets a smaller group. We say, okay, I think I want to go maybe be a master, maybe be a teacher.
Right.
And
Right.
it's even more amplified, right? So you just have to see where you want. There's no need to go all the way to, to the end. There's no need to get the attunement, as we call it in Reiki 1, but maybe get a Reiki treatment, see how you feel afterwards, right?
Right.
Reiki complement to other things. So try it and see.
Right. I always say that when you are attuned to your own internal self, it's sort of fascinating what starts to happen through, becoming a Reiki master, Reiki teacher. And when you become that master and a teacher, and you can provide, for lack of a better way of putting it, distance Reiki. And then I always say to people, because it's, for me, it's not about charging people and making money.
Yeah.
It's not that. I always say, I'll ask people, maybe this is probably something we'll probably talk about at another point in time, but I'll ask people. A lot of times with family, I don't even ask.
You should be asking.
I know.
You should be asking.
I just sing the stuff. And I'll go, so last night when you were
I can't with you. I can't.
Just like I'll say the kids, they're adults now, they're like, Mom, that was just really weird. I had this very interesting dream about you. And I'm like, you did?
I can't with you. I cannot. You are hilarious.
You did? No kidding, because I've been doing it for so long. I'm really a believer that energetically you can respond to me without knowing that you're responding to me.
And anything that they don't need will be returned back to the earth anyway.
Exactly, right? Exactly. And it's always good energy. So when I for this person, it was a win, a gift for a yoga challenge. And I said, all I really ask is that you let me know what your experience has been. And it's always interesting to me to have people respond.
Yes. That's the best part of it, right?
Even when they don't know, I give them as much information as I can about it. And I said, certainly research it on your own, but this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. But all I ask is you let me know. And they're like, whoa, or.
He needs you to be the Reiki spokesman. Whoa.
Yeah, right. It's like, whoa.
What happens when you experience Reiki? Whoa.
So it's
but it's true, and everyone experiences it very differently, and it may not even be that day. It could be days later.
Oh yeah.
Which definitely is always very interesting to me when they're like, oh, I didn't really notice anything. You're like, okay, well, if you do,
let me know.
Oh. And sometimes I'll forget about it, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what happened. I'm like, oh really? And I'm like writing it down, on my Reiki. Okay, I'm like run to get. There was one time someone told me, and they're like, I'm ready to talk now. I was like, wait, I don't have my Reiki journal. But
it is a fascinating piece, and there is that important piece about asking people, would you like, or do you want, and would you and say, I receive it. It's a mom thing. I just go, I'm gonna be doing this thing, and I'm doing it on a regular thing, and so y'all just be getting it from me all the time.
Well, at least you told them before, like, look, I'm sending you this energy.
I'm doing it, and they're like, Mom, but they'll forget that I even said it, and they're like, wow, that was like a really, really very strange. I'm like, you be doing that stuff? No. I can't. But again, the point being, in a very serious manner, the point being that throughout history, in all walks of religious, spiritual life, there has been this power.
Yes.
There has been this energy, and some are more attuned to it than others. Than others, in utilizing it and providing it, and it is extremely powerful. And that's all I can generally, I'll say to people, and I'm like, And I'm not
Powerful but gentle, right? Powerful but gentle energy. And it's
powerful but gentle. And I know some people get concerned about, I mean, we were just talking about a little while ago about, touching people and doing yoga. I never touch anybody. I'm a clinician by training, so I'm a therapist by training. I don't touch people. You don't know people's histories. You don't know what gets triggered.
yes.
Way too
Yes.
much stuff. I don't touch people in my Reiki practice.
Yeah, and you don't, it's sort of not recommended that you do, right? You can just
exactly. But I do know some people who do, and I'm
yes.
like, I'm not. How do you say to someone that that's not something I'm comfortable with. That's not something I'm comfortable doing with someone. I don't do that. But invariably, I use Fred all the time. I'm like, I just need to get myself tuned up, lay onto my table. Let's get ready. Let's get ready. He goes, you were touching my head. I said, I will not.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's funny where like when you like if you're working with someone else, where they feel it in the body and where you were.
Right. Exactly.
Like, you could be at their like root chakra, for example, and they're feeling it in their throat, and they're like, you were so by my throat, and you were like, I was there that I went down, like
it is funny, isn't it? It's fascinating. I would love to.
But everything is connected, right? So we're all, it's just all flowing through each other, and you sort of learn more of that, like if you're open to doing like acupuncture and all that great stuff, you see how they're connected. Like once they stick that needle in your leg
and your
arm, you're like, wow.
Isn't that the truth? It's so true. So many of these practices, and I guess it's getting back to how, for me, how yoga has evolved into all these other things, or not evolved necessarily. There's a connection with all of them. Mm-hmm. There is a definite connection with all of them.
There's just like we think of the, the African diaspora, right? It's the same with any type of anything rooted in Asian practice and study, right? Diaspora there, whether we acknowledge it or not. And a lot of these things are interconnected. And who knows how better they were connected before, colonialism sort of took its root. So we have to acknowledge that a lot of these practices are very similar because we're all connected, right? Diaspora. So we have to see that, just like our music is connected from Africa to the Caribbean, back to America, right? For Asian cultures. So the more we learn, the more connected we are.
Exactly.
Really be open to acknowledging where we got these practices from.
Well, there's the point, to be open and acknowledging where they came from. Mm-hmm. That's a powerful point. I hope you don't hear the cop going by.
I can, but I'm so used to it. I was like, is that hers or mine?
Sometimes it has that weird European.
I know that one cracks me up.
Yeah, right. I'm like, that just like went by that way.
Edit that part out. It's like,
yeah, I don't think I'll be able to, but nonetheless, I so appreciate you taking the time. I think, wow, this is giving me so many ideas about future conversations if you're willing to have them.
Of course. You might have to come over to one of my pages and we can
chat. I would love to do that.
Yes, we should definitely do that. We have to plan some fun stuff, I think.
This is true.
We can do it.
Exactly. And I'm not one that gives up on ideas that were generated in the past. I have not given up on the idea of this retreat thing that happened somewhere in the Philly area, because when this pandemic, which has screwed many of us up in terms of our travel plans, it's getting better because we know that the new normal is going to have to exist, or nobody will be moving from the country going anywhere.
It's true.
It's just going to be. But nonetheless, it's more about finding a time, because I travel. I will
I know
go.
you do. You will come, you will go.
I
You're
will go. I
ready
will
for
be
it.
there. I will crash it.
Where is Sagittarius in your chart? Because you must have an awful lot of it. Because you
I
are
do. You know why? Because I'm on the cusp.
you are but where else is it? Because it's gotta be there. Because I'm like,
It's dead. I'm dead on the cusp. So when I once had my chart done, oh my God, I wish I could find it. I don't know how I lost it. Probably lost it in my undergrad years, but whatever. When they did it, based on birth date and time, I am exactly split between Sagittarius and Scorpio. November 22nd, I'm exactly split. And when they did it, I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's why I am.
you have to get your chart done again, and then we gotta talk about this some more.
Okay.
I will send you my chart as soon as we're done, and we can chat about this.
Oh, cool. We'll definitely do that. So
yes.
I am putting it out there. I am saying it again for everybody to see and hear. That thing that we had planned so many years ago will be a reality.
It will be a reality. And I think, of course, this phone, I tell you, all the noises today. But I think we can try to do something. You do all of these yoga retreats. I feel like we have to go to a yoga retreat and we have to do something together. That might be like that we can definitely do it.
Oh, yeah.
You need to tell me like next time there's a call for facilitation or something.
Okay,
and I will
definitely. I'll definitely do it because I'm already thinking Big Bear and I know she's listening. She'll be listening. This year they're still based doing, well, I think that locally they have a couple classes they're doing physically there. But because the last 2 years, the pandemic, they have not had, and they've been online. And I just did a talk for them and recorded one. But that would be a perfect place.
Mm-hmm.
You wait till I'm sending her this personally.
Yes, I feel like that's the way we're gonna get it done until we can like talk again and really like settle down what we wanted to do. But yeah, I'm down for that.
Okay. I so appreciate it, sweetheart. Thank you for taking your time and
Thank
all
you
of
for
that.
having me. It was wonderful to see your face. And
I
don't see them all the time, but it was nice seeing you. It's like, I want to give you a hug.
Definitely. We'll be in touch. You take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Blessings.